Welcome back to the Football Terrace. It's the Wednesday phone in. I'm joined by Jessica Black. How are you?
I'm good. I can't complain. How are you?
Yeah, listen, I'm very excited and nervous about tonight's game. There's no doubt about it whatsoever. It's a very, very big night for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Probably even bigger night for Man United, really, with 3 defeats in our last 4 games, as it were. So yeah, really, really big night indeed, no doubt. Viewers, we hope you're all good. Make sure you're smashing the like and share button. Apologies for being late. I just swear I never planned to be late. I just always end up being late. So I'm very, very sorry to everyone that was waiting around for it. It's actually a technical issue today. I took this camera to the studio yesterday and I was about to log in to go live and I realized it was still packed away in a bag, all the wires. I set it all up. It was my fault. I just didn't even think. But there we go. Dex, yes, I know we were late, but we apologize for that. David here. Hello, sir. One of our members says, I think he could do, but this is strong chat. Okay, this is you guys talking to each other. It's hard to read out comments when you're chatting to each other. Going for a 3-1 Man United tonight. Ollie said this isn't a must-win game. We're going to touch on that a little bit later on in the show, preview tonight's game, but more so focus around the pressure that is upon Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. His comments about McFred as well. Big rumour circulating today as well about Man United getting a Haaland boost. We're going to be covering all of that, looking ahead of tonight's games. We want to take your questions as well. Any questions you have for us, get your member chats, get your super chats in as well. We will be taking phone calls later on in the show also. So make sure you're getting that all done for us. Just get this past the magic 500 like mark as well. That would be absolutely impeccable. But where we're going to start, we're going to have a little video intro for where we're starting today because it's been an amazing few days. There's a lot of stuff been trending. There's a lot of conversations that have been going on across socials. But one that I really wanted to focus, I have to focus on, I have to speak about, is the kind of situation going on with Arsenal after their brilliant win at the weekend. A lot of talk about top 4. A lot of talk about finishing in front of Man United. A lot of talk of potentially having a title-winning defensive line. A lot of excitement with Arsenal fans. We're going to speak to Jess about her take on the weekend and kind of the fallout since. But before that, remember the happiness and joy that Gunners had in their eyes and in their hearts on Sunday afternoon. Obviously, and the reason, listen, big up a gal, it's an amazing moment. The reason that I kind of focus on that is, do you think that the excitement and euphoria of beating your biggest rivals in such a dramatic way has led to an air of delusion maybe creeping into Arsenal fans' minds?
I mean, I think maybe a little bit in some people's minds, like in particular parts of the fan base. I don't think it's the entire fan base. I really do think that it's a bit of everything. It's excitement from that particular game, but it's also the proof of concept that some of us saw, not just from the last 3 games, but from the back end of last season that started in December. And I know people don't want to hear that. They don't want to hear that we had a good record from December pretty much all the way on to the end of the season, but we did. And we know that we were missing some key components to that and some depth and some key players like Thomas Partey, who couldn't stay fit, Kieran Tierney that couldn't stay fit, Aubameyang is off of form. So I think for me in particular, it's more about, okay, what Arteta said was going to happen is kind of happening. In the Burnley match, we kind of saw that like we were the better team. We were kind of going through their midfield or cutting through their midfield quite easily, but we didn't have the finishing touch. Against Spurs, we did. So for me, that's all that this game really is. It's proof of concept for what Arteta wants to do long-term with a group of players that still need to develop. He needs some work too, but we're kind of moving in a direction that makes sense. Whereas the first 3 games, we couldn't really see that, right? But I would just say, like, for some Arsenal fans, like, this is a long-term thing. And so the jump from 8th to 4th may not seem like a lot, but there's a lot of teams in between those positions. You know, it's not just that easy. And so for me, I'm not even looking at top 4 right now. I'm just looking for us to qualify for Europe. And that may seem like oh, well, that's low standards for Arsenal. Well, that's where we are. Historically, we should be doing better, but looking at the team and where we are in the last 15 years, we've been absolute crap. It's kind of like you have to kind of go for where you are. It's kind of like if you were really fit when you were younger, and then you've gotten fat, and
Is that
then,
a dig? Hang on, is that a dig?
no.
Is that a dig? Oh
It's
my
not.
word.
But you know how it is. You like look at an old picture of yourself and you're like, wow, I looked really good back
No,
then. You can't,
no.
you can't, you can't, you
Fucking
can't, you
hell.
can't put in a diet for 5 days and then look at that picture and say, I should be there. Just focus. I'm not talking about you, Terry. I'm not talking about, first of all, I don't know what you look like. So, I mean, the fact that you feel like I'm maybe talking about you, I think it's more about how
No, I was
you
about to
feel
say
than
you have
me.
no idea about my physical condition. So yeah, no, I'm only playing. But no,
You know what I mean? Like
I know, I do
you kind
hear
of have
you.
to look.
I do hear you. I think for me, for instance, we had Curran on the show last night that spoke about, and I'm paraphrasing here, so I might not get it word for word, but he believes Arsenal play better football than Man United. He believes they're moving in a better direction than Man United. He predicted that they could make the top four in front of Manchester United. And a lot of people have pointed out to me that he said this before the season begun. I think, which
He
is
did.
fair. Yeah. And again, I think it was equally as wrong then as it is now. Not because Arsenal can't improve, but I felt the way he just kind of discounted Man United. And, there was, I'm not saying there's hypocrisy in people. I think this weekend has made everybody get excited. I've seen articles, and it was funny. I read Tom's article today from Gunnar Talk, where it's got kind of like Jamie O'Hara has been embarrassed by this video, and it's referring to when Jamie O'Hara said you've wasted 130 odd million pounds. I feel like everyone's jumped the gun with the banter. I waited all season. There was loads of journalists and pundits that said that Man United and Chelsea wouldn't make the top four. This a few years ago. I waited all season to release a video that mocked their opinions, because you have to wait until the end, because if you end up finishing ninth, Jamie O'Hara is right. If you end up finishing ninth or eighth, then these top four predictions are they're beyond massively out, if that makes sense. And I feel like nothing anybody said is illogical to a degree. I just think there's been too much too soon after one very good first half performance against Tottenham and some narrow victories against some teams at the bottom of the league. I agree that Arsenal were purchased well this summer. I think myself, I commented on Tom's article, which, by the way, I laughed at in the sense of it was funny. It was a good article. But me and him got into an exchange on Twitter a few weeks ago where I said I think Arsenal had a mixed transfer window. And he said, essentially, I'm going to paraphrase, awful. It's not good in any way, shape, or form. And I'm like, but Lokonga's a good player, and Tomiyasu's a very good player. Tavares is good. Ben White, I think, is a lot better than people give him credit for. But there's a difference between that and saying we're leapfrogging Man United. We play better football. Top four is like a distinct possibility. Other teams have done it before against all odds. I think that kind of talk artificially raises expectations, and I think it's just a little bit too soon, because if you hadn't have won that game, I don't think people would have been going in like they are.
Yeah, but I don't think Karan's opinion is really indicative of the entire fan base. I think he's a small minority of people that feel that way in particular. And for the majority of us, it's just nice to win a game and to win it convincingly, to like the players, to feel like, okay, this makes sense. For Arsenal fans that are pretty realistic, you can look at that team and say, we have a decent foundation that we can build upon. And that's something to be happy about, because we haven't had that in years.
No, I do agree.
So I get what you're saying about like, it's just one half, which I would say it's not just one half and it's marginal victories. Okay. But the reality is that a lot of us wanted to see a connection between the back end of last season that a lot of people try to act like never happened, because we had a bad run between November and December that completely obliterated our entire season, a connection between that and this season after Arteta got his players back. And there's something there.
I would say this. I would say this to Arsenal fans. Always be happy when you win games. No one's discounting that. But for nearly 20 years, every single Arsenal season has had the same pattern. There's always it used to be February to March. Last year, it was a lot earlier in the season. There's a 2-month period of every season for 20 years where it's fallen apart. your back end of nearly every single season that I can remember was good enough to make you all have hope for the following season, but it was repeat again. I would say go through a whole season where the whole season shows progression. You don't have a 2-month period where you go out of every competition and you fall so far away from your title race, top 4 race, top 6 race, whatever it may be. I would say after that watershed, I'd call it a watershed moment for Arsenal, then I would start to say, I can see the fruits of our labor. There's always green shoots everywhere. You get these moments where you think, oh, this looks like an improvement. That looks like an improvement. It's taken me 3 transfer windows under Man United for me to say, I can see what they're trying to do now, and I have more faith in it. We haven't rushed into too many signings. We as an example, it's taken me a long time to see the wood for the trees. I just, like I've said, nothing you've said is wrong. And I know that Curran and Gal and Tom and many other Arsenal fans are not in, I'm not talking about every single Arsenal fan is saying it, but I've seen it from a lot. I've seen it from a lot of very influential Arsenal fans as well. And that's the point. Whether we like it or not, some of us are small, some of us are medium, some of us are massive. Our job titles are influencers. What we say influences other people's opinions. That's why we have, that's literally what we do for a job. So I just think it's a little bit irresponsible at this moment in time to go as in as they have, because in 2 weeks' time, there could be a very different feeling around. And I think people may feel a little bit embarrassed. So I'm just saying to people, tread with a little bit of trepidation. Like they're celebrating a win. And then there is, I mean, I literally saw a group last night, loads of Arsenal fans in it. It's like, Arsenal are back. I was like, come on, slow down. Like you're putting
But
yourself...
Did you go in it and see if they were actually saying it or not? Or was it just a funny little title, you know?
Maybe.
I think on this show, I said that we were going to win the title, and I was literally freaking joking.
And we can,
pretty freaking obvious.
And we can tell people, I can tell you were joking. The way people were talking yesterday, they weren't. The tone of their voice wasn't a joke. Like, I'm just saying. But let me ask you this question. Are Arsenal back? That's the question I have for you, Jess. Are Arsenal back?
This question is just so freaking vague. Like, are we back? Like, what is back?
Okay, I'll define. Like, you're not back to challenging for titles. That's when Arsenal are properly back for me. But are you now a team that isn't going to have large amounts of embarrassing results in a season? That's the bare minimum you'd expect at Arsenal with your wage bill, with the money you spend, is to not have. Everyone has embarrassing results every season. The treble winning season, we had embarrassing results probably. If I actually went back and looked. Are you a team that's going to have minimal embarrassing results, or do you still think, if that hasn't changed, I don't see how you can be. Like, where do you weigh things up right now? Are you on the route to recovery? Let's forget back.
No.
Are you properly on the route to recovery?
So I would say based on at least so again, this goes back to the back end of last season that people don't want to see because we finished in 8th. We didn't have any spans of embarrassing results from December, like not 3 or 4 losses on the bounce like we did before that. We didn't, so when Arteta has his players, we tend to do well. We tend to be able to string together results. And I would think that we could do that again. We also have more stability in terms of backup players and things like that. So will we lose the Liverpool game 3-0? Maybe. But I don't think we're going to go through a November, December like we did last season. I can't see it with the group of players that we have and the stability that we have now.
So I want to make sure I'm understanding it right. So you're not going to have a month or 2-month period where you're forget winning 4 You're not going to be banter FC. You're not going to see Arsenal fans having meltdowns across socials. You're not going to see Arteta out trending, because the masses want him out.
You're going to see that the next time we lose a game. Our fan base is not stable. They're not stable. The next time we lose a game or the next time we struggle against somebody, they will capitulate. But there's
a difference though, Jess. There's a difference. Man United fans trend Ollie out when we win. I'm not worried about what Arteta's detractors say. I'm sort of talking about rivals won't banter you for losing one in 10 games and drawing one. There isn't that they'll always banter the individual game, but what you went through in the last 20 years, in 15 years, in those 2-month period where your season fall apart, like everybody gets on you for that because it's actually embarrassing for a club that size to go through it. The same as all of our clubs. Like, you don't think that's going to happen this season, is what you're saying?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. I know
And
we'll lose games. I know we'll lose games, but I don't think I know what you're talking about. It's that what happened last season between November and December, that type of level of like 8 games on the bounce, can't win, all that kind of stuff. That's what you're talking about.
Something like that.
I don't think
It's never going to be identical.
I can't see that happening with this group of players. I cannot see it.
And
I'll
again,
come back on if it happens. I'll come back on.
Well, I know you will, and I'm not trying to catch you out. I'm trying to understand. People often misinterpret me as someone who's always trying to catch people out. I'm trying
to. But I've told you why I feel that way, though.
No, and I get why, but I'm trying to understand exactly what that looks like, so that I don't mischaracterize or assume things. And for me, like, it'll be interesting to see if you go the whole season without a 2-month period where everyone's bantering you because results and where you are in the league hasn't improved and anything like that. Then yeah, you could have a very good season. It's just whether or not Arsenal can actually do that, and we'll see. Gunnar Vital here says some fans are overreacting. Think some fans are overreacting. A lot. We always do well against Spurs at home. Played fantastic last season too and finished 8th. Hope for the best.
That's not true. See, this is exactly so. Again, when we look at the teams that we were playing prior to December, we didn't have a single creative player in our team. We didn't. Willian was playing. We were playing like Maitland-Niles in midfield. Maitland-Niles off of the right. There was Cedric was playing. Look at the difference between our results pre and post December. We finished 8th because of a span, like you said, Terry, that 2-month period where we just don't win any games. After that, we didn't have that from December. The season is long. December to May is a long time not to have that 2-month period again. If we were so bad, we would have had it again. Then we had 3 games. We had 3 games at the beginning of this season. Look at the teams that we had. Look at that team.
And you did have hard games. You did have hard games. Nobody's denying that. I'll ask you one final question before we move on. It doesn't need a long answer. I'm just trying to ascertain what you mean. So last season, you lost 13 and won 18. If you lost somewhere close to that again and win around 18, though, would you consider it as bad a season as last year? Just say that you don't have that 2-month period, but all those level of defeats are just spread out over a longer period. Is it an improved season?
No, no. So for me, I'm more looking at the place that we finish. Like, to me, that's more important than like wins and losses and all that kind of stuff.
I get, and I do get that. I think that's really important. I think it's a very, very important position.
We have to finish in Europe, period. Like, that's my benchmark for this season. We have to
6th place and above. You mean, like, not the Conference League, 6th place?
Yep, exactly. 6th place and above. Mm-hmm.
That makes total sense to me. Viewers, we'd love your views and your opinions. Get your super chat questions into us or comments as well. We'll look at what some of the members are saying here as well. We always try to put their comments out. It's happened before, so it can happen again. Just be prepared, Jess, is what Young Wizards got to say. What else are we looking at here? Comments. David says, oh no, even Jess is falling for it, is what David's got to say.
Then you didn't listen to what I said if you said that I fell for it. I didn't say 4th. I didn't say win in the league. I said, I think that we can be consistent this season with this team. So,
Football Fan Zone says, Arsenal fans overhyping, having beaten 3 poor sides, is what's been said. Arsenal are not going to survive, is what Who Knows has got to say.
Survive what? The Premier League? Are we getting relegated? Be specific.
Oh, I calm down. I'm just.
You guys are putting up super chats. Am I not supposed to reply?
Be respectful. You know, these people pay my mortgage. I'm only messing. We take one game at a time. Arsenal at the moment is headed in the right direction, but still can't guarantee where we finish. Anything is possible, and I think that's a very, very fair analysis there, my friend. When we win, we are delusional. When we lose, we're banter FC. What do you think, Terry? By the way, we haven't lost to United under Arteta. To see us against United now, that'll be the irony of football. You'll improve as a team and be better, but we'll beat you now. You'll get worse. Like that's. But
you know what? That's actually fine because
of course it is.
We just need to be able to beat those. I would lose. Burnleys.
I would
those
lose.
Relegation sides.
I would lose to Liverpool every season 5-0 in both games if it meant we won the league. I wouldn't give a shit because that's more important, right? But all I'm saying there to John C is that that's sod's law. You'll improve as a team and look really good. And then you'll look, the amount of times I've gone up against Arsenal in the last 7-8 years where Arsenal have been in the pitch, like, right, I can't wait to play them. And they get a result. You're like, how did that happen? Like, we should be beating them. But that's the game we love. That's the game we love. Up next, we're talking about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and his very, very tough night tonight. Villarreal, a team that United have played 4 times in the Champions League and never scored a goal in the last 4 games. Not scored a goal against. 0-0 draws, of course, lost to them in the Europa League final just a few short months ago. Make sure you smash that like and share button. Jess and I will be taking your calls very, very soon as well. Let's do this. Ole must win tonight. And I could be asked, people can throw questions in at me all they want, but I'm standing by it. I can have the Ole in brigade can come for my neck. I stand by what I'm saying. It is a must win game for him tonight. He cannot afford. It's almost unforgivable to lose 4 out of 5 games on the bounce when you're a Man United manager. When you have Cristiano Ronaldo, Bruno Fernandes, Mason Greenwood, Rafael Varane, David De Gea, all in your Paul Pogba, all in your team. It's legitimately unforgivable as far as I'm concerned if he does that tonight. I don't care how good Villarreal did against Chelsea. I don't care in the Super Cup. I don't care about our past record against them, which is awful. Even our record against Spanish teams is abysmal. It really is bad. I was looking at this earlier in the Champions League, and it's United are winless in their past 7 games against Spanish teams in the Champions League. 3 draws and 4 defeats. The last time we beat anybody was back in October 2013. We beat Real Sociedad 1-0 at home. It's atrocious. And I'm sick to my back teeth of it. And I've got a lot of time for Ole as a manager and a man, but he spoke about the expectations have gone up. And that's the point. He himself has said the expectations have gone up. He has to win tonight. And I know a lot of people will say, just get a result, get the points. I'm not having that. He needs a performance. We need a good win. We need a win where the last 20 minutes of the game, we're just checking out the other results to be comfortable. We're 2-3-0 up. I'm desperate for it as well. I can't lose 4 out of 5 games. As a fan and not a content creator, it's just, honestly, I'm so scared about tonight's game. It is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Like, the fear in me is,
That's so sad. You shouldn't be. That's the crazy thing. You shouldn't be scared, but you are. You know, the kind. That's my thing. It's like, when we had this conversation a couple of weeks ago. The manager just doesn't match the players, and now that you said that, like, the expectations have went up, it's literally just that, isn't it? Expectations have went up, and Ole can't live up to those expectations, and he's frozen. I think he's frozen, and the worst thing that could happen to you guys is you don't score early. You need to score early and put Villarreal on the back foot. If Unai Emery can stay in a game into the 60th minute, he will shithouse his way through it. And that's the last thing you guys really need right now. But again, I'd still expect you guys to win pretty easily still. This is why you got Cristiano Ronaldo. It's not just about what he can do on the pitch. He's going to go in the locker room and tell these guys it's unacceptable to lose this game. Ole is not going to do that. He's everybody's best friend. So I hope that it doesn't go right for you guys, obviously, but you shouldn't be this worried. And I'm kind of looking at it like, wow, like, the fact that you're this scared is not good. Look at your team.
Yeah, well, it's standards of it. Like, most people would be happy to have, you'd be happy to be in the Champions League and have 13 points, to have these players and to have won the games that we've won this season. Arsenal would swap places with Man United tomorrow. As an overall club structure, everything. People keep going on about that stuff seems to have been fixed. I'm still nervous if we let Ole go, that we allow the structure to fall apart. Like I've said, my consistency and my criticism of all clubs, including my own, remains the same. I won't believe that the change is sustainable beyond one manager until I see it sustainable beyond one manager. The same as yourselves. I'll believe that Arsenal will become more consistent when they don't have a period that ruins their season, which they've had for 15 years on the bounce. So I remain true in that. But the expectations rising. What I've noticed, and I always gauge things by the interactions I have on social media as well. Part of my barometer is how are people interacting. Ollie inners and a lot of match-going fans have become almost militant in their defense of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer.
Mm-hmm.
And that, for me, speaks volumes. The way that they are twisting and turning, the way he's twisting and they're twisting and turning what he's achieving and what he's doing is embarrassing. Absolutely embarrassing. If this was last season's squad or the season before's, then I'd be fairly happy with the start to the season. But we don't have that squad anymore. And he himself has said the expectations have risen. We are at a season where maximum you want to be losing 4 or 5 games in the Prem. You don't want to be, across all competitions, you don't really want to be losing more than 6 or 7 across the whole season. If we're being honest, we're 3 defeats in already. And we're in the first, I know we've had an international break, but we're basically in the first month to 5 weeks of the league and we've already lost 3 games. I don't want for us to rely on a really good run of 10, 15 games to level ourselves out. I want us to be more consistent. And that comes from maintaining the intensity within our team. I'm sick and tired of hearing people talk about systems and setups and patterns. I get that they could be better with a better manager. I'm not going to deny it. That isn't even what our issue is. It's a lack of intensity at times. We dominated the game against large parts against Villa in the first half. They had a couple of very good counter-attacks. Start the second half, for 20 minutes we didn't touch the ball. What was the difference? They worked harder, they run harder, they pressed us quicker. That's an intensity issue as opposed to a tactic, because if it was tactics, we wouldn't have dominated them at any point in the game. If it was purely how they play football versus how we play football, we wouldn't have done what we did prior. And that's ridiculous. Just start of any half at Old Trafford, first or second, Man United should always be on that front foot. We should be the pressers. We should be the aggressors. We just don't have that. And it's a mentality thing. It's the approach to the game, which I think is more mental than it is tactical sometimes. And Ollie he's drowning. He's drowning under the expectations now of this team. And I think it's clear. And I'll tell you who sees it more than Ollie outers. A lot of Ollie outers are like, I already knew this. I've already been here. Why are you telling me something I already know? It's the Ollie inners that are now noticing it. And that's why they're becoming very defensive. They're becoming very angry. They're becoming very, very toxic in their approach towards defending him. And that's where my fear comes from as a fan. I'm watching these 2 groups that for 3.5 years have argued with each other, but I'm looking at his supporters really panicking. And the fact they're panicking for me is a worry, because it's like, we could be top 4 this year and I'm still going to be angry if we're not challenging for that league title. That's the difference. Last year, make top 4, most were happy in terms of progression and trajectory. Now that's gone. He has to win. Has to.
He's had his Lampard season already. That season that Lampard had where it was like, oh, with this team, he was able to get top 4, great transfer ban, all that kind of stuff. Very next season, got players in. Havertz came in, Werner came in, and the expectation rose very quickly. After that transfer window, Chelsea was expected to win the league. And they were sitting around mid-table or a little bit lower, and they sacked him in December. And I feel like that's almost where Ole Gunnar is. And he's had a longer leash than Lampard ever did, because Lampard wasn't even there as long. I think Ole's been there for a whole year before that. So I just think he needs one of those runs, but at the same time, it's just time to cut the cord. I just think it's time to cut the cord, period. There's nothing wrong with, you talked about it yesterday on the last show that you did, that Sterling had reached his expire date.
Yeah.
I feel like managers do that as well. And I think he's just expired. It's time to move on, period. They need to be looking for a new manager. The issue is will you throw away an entire season and not challenge for anything, knowing that he probably should have been gone before this? I don't think he should have been given Ronaldo. I don't think he should be given Sancho, not because he hasn't earned it, but because he's just not up to the standard of this team. Do you know what I mean?
Again, this is where I agree with half of your point and not the other half. So the half I agree with, I think he's come to the end of the road. But then I've been saying that for now in a year, that from a coaching point of view, he's reached his limit, and I do not think that he can win us a major trophy. However, that he shouldn't have got Ronaldo, etc. That's just a notion I can never agree with. Not because Ollie isn't important in that process. The club should be buying players that fits the club's philosophy and the club's want and desire of how they want to play, the profile of the player, etc. So it doesn't matter whether Ollie's the irony in it is, it's like saying we're not sure about Lampard, so let's not buy Havertz and all the guys that help them
No,
When
I'm not saying that they shouldn't have bought that. I'm not saying they shouldn't have got Ronaldo. I'm saying that, like, in the end of the day, you should know when the manager is at the end of his rope, and like he pretty much was. And so you
yeah.
don't bring in Cristiano Ronaldo, Sancho, and Varane so that Oli could get you top four again. That is his threshold. That's the top of his levels. He's not going to get
But you've hit the
better.
nail on the head there. You've hit the nail on the head. This is when Man United fans should be waking up and smelling the coffee. The ones that are still, the ones that would glazer out for the gram, the ones that would glazer out because it was fashionable. This is the proof in the pudding. If they're just happy with top four, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer should never be the focus of any attention again, because it's the proof in the pudding that the owners are happy with it. Therefore, we have to change their mindset. If their mindset isn't changed, it doesn't matter whether Ole is the manager or not. Sustained winning isn't going to exist. That's kind of why I'm almost pushing it. I really want Ole to go and for a winner to come in, but for us, and then pray to God we continue in that same trajectory, because then watch our rivals panic. Because if with what we spend, if we have structure and have a world-class coach, we can win anything.
Oh yeah, we want Ollie in all day, every day.
No,
like
exactly.
I'd prefer him to stay in.
But forget Ollie. Ollie going or staying isn't the biggest issue here. It's who we get and the direction the club goes in after sacking him. If we maintain and what you said, Ollie had that extra year, and the reason Ollie was there longer is because Ollie's been helping to build what is here, and I'll always respect that element. But I agree with you on your first point. He is the coach, has come to the end of its validity period. He's past his sell-by date. We need someone now to pick up them reins and say, I can take this to the next level and make it bigger and better. And look, I'd love it to be Ollie. Like the romance element of it, I'd love Ollie to win a major. I'd love him to win the Champions League this year, have a good title run, and then be moved on still. I would love that to be the case. But it isn't going to happen. And I see the longer he stays now, the more stuff can be undone. And people keep saying given to the end of the season. Not if it breaks relationships that people have. In the sense of maybe a player or two that we want to stay go, I've had it with this place, and then they want to leave, and it gives a problem to the new manager coming in. If you get rid of him now, in the next few weeks, and Zidane comes in, and we have a great season, everybody wants to stay. This is Manchester. When Man United are at their pomp and at their best, the level of players in the last 30 years that want to leave the club are down to a bare minimum. You're talking about Cristiano Ronaldo, and I'm trying to think of another one who actively wanted to leave. You know, people talk about Tevez. Tevez didn't want to leave. He wanted to stay. We just didn't offer him the money, as an example. So most of our stars will stay. More players want to come and play here than already want to. We have the financial clout. Forget the Glazers pumping none of their own money, and we earn enough money to be able to compete with the biggest and wealthiest, the sort of oil-rich and country-owned teams. I just want to see that happen, and it's bittersweet, really. I don't want to lose tonight, and I want to see a performance. But what
about 1-0? What if he wins 1-0 and it's barely? You know what I mean?
Depends
like
on
it's barely.
So what do you mean?
So like,
no, I get what you mean, but I get that. Yeah, but what do you mean?
So how would you feel about that? Like, because there will be a lot of Ollie inners that will say he won the game. It was must win. He got it. I mean, don't people have to be real about, like, it needs to be a performance and it needs to be convincing, kind of like with Arteta in the Spurs game. It had to be convincing. It could not be a penalty or some dodgy call or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. For me, I can only speak for me. I'll be unhappy. If I get sort of 40, 50 minutes into this game, we're not playing well and we're struggling, my anger already sets in. And even when we've done it a few times recently where we score the late goal, I don't feel any kind of, I'm almost to a point where I'm not feeling joy. And that's because we have the team. We're superior to these teams. And it's like, how can we keep getting it wrong every single week? So they're taking my joy away from even the win. If we win 1-0, but we batter them and their goalie pulls off 5 or 6 of the best saves we've ever seen, that's very different. That's not skinny your teeth. That's how do we not win 5, 6, 7-0? That's a little bit because the performance is there. And, you know, a lot of people, one thing I would say is a lot of people have defended Ollie in the last few weeks, but we've had like average of 25 to 27 shots on goal. Yeah, but about 40, 50, 60% of them have been pop shots from outside the box. Like how many were you should be scoring from there? Like we need to be very, very mindful of that. The clear-cut chances need to be there. You need at least 2 or 3 big chances per game. And the reason I say that is Man City have been the best creators in the league for the last 5 years, and they've averaged 2.7 per game. So anyone that says you've got to have 5 big chances per game is talking bollocks. Doesn't exist at any level on a consistent basis. The best team in the league the last 5 years is about 2.7. So there's just, again, a bit of education needed on those things. I thought, by the way, when I saw that at the average like 2.7, I was like, is that all? And then you realize that's like most teams to actually score more goals. You do need brilliance. Like it does exist. But yeah,
are we going to talk about McFred too? Are we going to talk about those comments too?
Go on.
Well, no, I just wanted to know because you mentioned it earlier, and I think it's interesting.
He's bang on. Ollie's right about that.
Yeah.
And the worst bit about it is it's infuriating, but he's right. Technically, they're the worst combination, but physically they're the best. And the problem is in modern day football, if you don't have the physicality in your team, the better football players get overrun.
Yep.
In my view. So Pogba and Matic in the middle is our best technical and skill set collective for me, because I just think they're better. But Pogba doesn't have the defensive awareness, and Matic don't have them legs. You throw in Donny, maybe instead of, say, Pogba, you still have the legs. You have the even more leg issue now and strength issue. You put in like any one of McTominay and Fred, you get a bit more energy and you can cover the ground, you can break the play up, but you lose technical ability on the ball. McFred are a problem, but they're a problem because we haven't bought yet the adequate player to fill that kind of hole, as an example. And that's the next transfer that's needed. It's a purchase that's needed. There is no development. A lot of people say, play Donny, play Donny, play Donny. I've seen Donny in 2 or 3 games so far this season, good on the ball still, but the midfield's still been overrun. And this is where I think people over-focus on McFred and they want to scapegoat them to, is I've seen so many midfield combinations in the last 18 months and none of them have really worked. So do you get my point? So my view, I understand, and I've said all along, I knew what Ollie was going to say without even hearing him say it. He plays them two because they're the most mobile. And what we need is players that are as mobile as them two, but technically superior. So that's why the likes of Declan Rice are looked at, because Declan Rice, and if you had a double pivot of Declan Rice and Basuma, I'm throwing 2 names out there, it would be elite. You could cover the ground and pass the goddamn ball. It would, you know, that's what we need. And I knew what he was going to say. I know why he does it. I know a lot of people don't like it, but for me, I think he's right. Even though I don't want to see them, it is right. I can understand it. And it's one of them things. And the one thing about Ollie, which, again, this is one thing I've learned to accept from him. He isn't going to sit there and say, oh, they're lovely lads, but I wish I didn't have to play them. I wish I had some better players. He's never going to say that. He's never going to do that publicly. So I don't know why people expect him to go, yeah, been on Twitter, and I agree with everybody. McFred is shit. You expect him to say that. He isn't going to say it. And I can guarantee people this. This is my view, and I think this is a guarantee. Play Donny and Matic together in the double pivot in 3 or 4 Prem games on the bounce, we lose. They just get run through. They just get run through, and we just get run through. And we don't get run through as easy without those two. We just don't distribute the ball as well. But either combination, I'm not happy with. So my point is, it just is what it is. And what would happen? Say we played Matic and Donny all the time, and we're still losing games and having problems. Eventually, the lens would be focused on them, and it would be they're getting overrun. They're not good enough at this, not good enough at that. Neither combination are good enough. Investment needs to happen. By the way, those combinations are all good enough to beat 80-90% of the teams in the Prem, because it's
that's what I was going to say. It's not as big of a thing as people are making it out to seem. It's just they're an easy target because you look at them on paper, they just stand out like sore thumbs. You're like Fred, McTominay. They're definitely not great, but they're not as bad as people make them out to seem. And I don't even think that that's Ole's biggest issue is the midfield. Like they're there to do a specific job. You still have enough technical leaders in your team and Bruno Fernandes and Pogba to pass the ball around. You know, it's up to Ole to get that offense working and take advantage of those chances, because your biggest strength really is the amount of attacking talent that you have. Should not be struggling to score goals. So there's something there. And I know people are thinking it's probably just the midfield pivot. I think it's more than that. But again, it's Ole's threshold in terms of his coaching. And it's just interesting, the McFred thing, because I don't think they're as bad as people make them out to seem, to be honest.
Well, especially McTominay, I can almost guarantee. Again, one of the other little reasons why I really want to see a top class manager come in is I think that manager will put stock in McTominay. I think they will. I think it's Zidane, and this is what will be interesting. What I really want to see.
You rate him like really highly, or
no? I think he's a good with the potential to be a very good player in the right system with the right coach. The fact that, like, again, you can't always take a manager's assessment as 100% the truth and gospel, but Jose Mourinho really rated him. Fergie absolutely adores him. Like, he gets a lot of praise from a lot of people, McTominay, not so much for his technical ability. I still feel like he could do a job for Man United in the right system, like Jordan Henderson does for Liverpool. I think their technical ability is in and around the same as one another, but it's about utilizing him in the right ways and somebody else picking up that. But if he was next to a Declan Rice or a Basuma, you'd see a better Scott McTominay. And that's because it's a team sport and you sometimes kind of need that, as it were. But yeah, I'm very interested to see when we get a manager that is universally accepted by everybody. I'm really intrigued to see who that manager picks as his favorites and whether the fans turn on this manager in the same way. But I can imagine if Zidane was picking McTominay for 90% of the matches, suddenly everybody would, I didn't notice that about McTominay.
It's the Mason Mount effect. You know, sometimes you need a legitimate manager to come in and that you rate their opinion, and it's the same thing, you know, but I don't really rate McTominay that high, but I get it. Like, he's your guys' player. You would know better, you know, but it would be interesting to see what another manager would come in and do if Donny would still sit. I still think a better manager figures out a way to use that player. It's too good to sit your bench. You got to figure that part out. But yep, I just wanted to touch on that because I think a lot of Man United fans were weirdly shocked at his comments. You think he was going to say anything other than McFred is his best partnership?
Yeah. And the thing is, this is where I talk about people having integrity in themselves. I've always said I don't want managers for the majority of the time talking trash about their own players in public. So I can't be angry that he's been positive about something that I don't necessarily like, because I don't want him to be negative about them in public. And that's where I think, I know it's not good for your followers. I know it isn't good for retweets. I know it isn't good for attention. But when Jose was doing that, we were all incensed. I can't believe he's doing it. Like I've said, I wish there was an app. I wish there was a little thing you could put out. As soon as someone says, I don't want managers bad-mouthing anybody, and then they moan that somebody's not bad-mouthing, you should get an instant 30-day Twitter jowl, Twitter account banned, like an hypocrisy alert. Like, that's what Twitter should invent, an algorithm that reads hypocrisy. And there's like, you get one warning and then you get a 30-day ban, then you get a 60-day ban, and then you're banned for life. I'd love to see it, because that's the bit that's most painful. It's like, I literally been following you 5 years, bro. And I've seen you moan about the manager doing that. Now you're moaning they're not doing it. It's very weird to me. We've got some super chats to do. Then we're going to go to your live calls. We're going to share the link now that you can call in. I have got some super chats I'm going to read. I haven't missed them. Make sure you call in now. Any questions for us? I'm about to pin the wrong tweet. So let me just grab the right one. There it is. That tweet is now pinned to the tweet. That comment is now pinned so you can see it. AVFC says, Liverpool looked relentless once again last night, Terry. Could it be 3 to 4 way title race instead of just a 2-horse race like City versus Liverpool was? I think it can be. Liverpool look so much more dangerous. I don't think that's bad grammar. Grammatically poor. But
yeah.
They look so much better than I thought they would be.
I know, me too. I'm like,
yeah. But let's see what happens. We've seen, you know, but Liverpool look legit, and it's because very good across the system. But you're playing well as a team, but then you've got your greatest ever Premier League player in Mohamed Salah, who's just on fire. And that is why you're elevated to the next level. And if Man United were playing as football as well as you are, with the gold dust we've got up front, like, we'd have like no problems whatsoever. Absolutely none whatsoever. Yeah. I missed the super chat from Neil. I can't put it up on the screen. I'm very, very sorry, Neil O'Callaghan. But it says, if the Glazers want managers similar to Ollie, e.g. won't question and demand, how is it that United fans want Ollie out to get a similar manager back in? Mate, Neil, you just literally, that is the $1 million question. if Ollie's a puppet and the Glazers only employ puppets, sacking Ollie is irrelevant. It's completely irrelevant. It doesn't make any sense. I want to see it happen, though, because I pray to God, Allah, Buddha, Yoda, Joe Pesci, whoever you worship, the sun, the moon. What else do people pray to? Statues, vegans. I don't know, vegans, wheat or something, like whatever people pray to, whatever their God is. Do you know what I mean? Like, I pray to all those gods at the same time, that if we sack Ollie and we do instill another, if we bring in a winner who's got high demands, then we know we don't have puppets at the club and we're moving in the right direction. We're trying to win. Happy days. If we bring in another puppet, then there's no more manager out. It's only Glazer attention. So it's win-win for me in terms of my club. And I always put my club first. Z says, Terry, you cannot say Donny and Matic isn't good enough. Haven't seen it to say it's better than Fred and McTominay. It's
on really paper, yes.
Yeah, that's my view. I've seen enough of it to think it'd get run through like diarrhea, bruv. Like, do you know what I mean? Run through you. Like, that, like bad chicken, bruv. Like, before you've even swallowed it, it's coming out. Like, I think that's what would happen. I know it's the dirty analogy, but it has to be done. So. Like, legitimately believing that. Mr. Singh here with another super chat. Thank you for the super chat, Z, by the way. Appreciate it, brother. It says, Terry, you talk about stats, and I think Donny has the better defensive stats this season than McTominay. McTominay hides all game. He always has least touches in the game, etc. Again, I'd have to look at the stats, but I think there would be context to that. Who has Donny played against versus who has McTominay played against, minutes, etc. But yeah, I mean, maybe.
The function of your midfield is to break up play. Like, that's very, very important. I don't think Ole, and this is like difference in philosophy in terms of managers, but he wants his midfield to break up play and give the ball to the better players. That's what they do. They nick the ball and they give it to Bruno, they give it to Pogba and move on. So if the function of the midfield is that, Donny and Matic are not going to be better than Fred and McTominay at that. You know, they're not. You know, so it's the function of the midfield versus are they better players?
What we just need is what Declan Rice is amazing at. We need someone that can progress that ball, into the final third better. The problem is, for me, if you were to, this is my opinion, and I put my opinion into this as well, is McTominay and Fred collectively would win the ball back more than Matic and Donny van der Beek, but then the distribution is less. The distribution would be better from the other two, but I think over a course of, say, 20, 30 games, they wouldn't win the ball back as much. And in the end result, you end up in the same situation. You know, if you win it 10 times, but you misplace it 3, but you win it 8 times and only misplace it twice, or misplace it once, you still end up with only 7 balls that progress. Like, I still feel like the end result, it'd end up being the same.
No, and you guys don't defend in numbers. You know, you don't defend in numbers. You always leave people high so that you can play on the counterattack. So
that's because we're attacking.
Well, yeah, you're attacking. It's not negative. It's not a negative thing.
We are an attacking team.
I know you're an attacking team.
100%. I'm just making sure that don't get lost in translation here.
It's not getting lost in translation.
English and American.
All I'm saying is that then you need players that you can rely upon to stay back there and do what they're supposed to do. And he relies upon them to do that so you guys can stay high and attack. You know, otherwise you have all 11 behind the ball, and you guys don't want that. Ronaldo's not standing behind the ball. Bruno's not standing behind the ball.
No, why should they?
They're not standing. They're standing on the halfway line, ready to go, ready to run over the top. Long balls, you know?
Through balls. High through balls. They're called high through balls.
Or diagonal. Over the top.
No. Diagonal through balls. Do you know what I mean? Pinpoint looped passes, we call them. If you use posh words sometimes, you can speak nonsense and get away with it. I've learned that recently. Terry, you said the same thing about Ollie around Everton last year. I find it funny that when things go wrong, it's his fault, but not the opposite. I praise Ollie when things go right also. I praise Ollie for many, many things, Josh, that he's done at Manchester United Football Club. That's why I'm despised by both the Ollie inners and the Ollie outers. They don't understand how somebody can be happy at some things and disappointed in others. I've told them they should try being married. That will give you all you need to know about that weird concoction of emotions. Michael Ramsey, but long time no see, Michael Ramsey. He says, Liverpool looks good when they are playing a rubbish team. Any Any game Rubbish Jones looks good in shows how bad the team is that they're playing against. Michael Ramsey thinks Liverpool are basically being overrated. Keep those super chats coming in, people. We're going to go to the lines now to get people on to have their say. First up, we're going to go to Man Like Leaf. We're going to get Gunnar Souls on. We're going to get the Football Fan Zone, amongst a plethora of others that are all sitting backstage. I can't even see everybody's names right now because of how I've got my screen. But hit that like and share button, ladies and gentlemen. Let's do this. Mohammed, welcome to the show. I clicked on the wrong person actually, but it's fine. You were next to him. What do you want to say, mate? What do you want to say?
Yeah, I just want to say, I know everyone is wanting Ollie out so early in the season, but I think you need to give him until the end of the season because it's too early to decide like whether he should be sacked or not. Because I know he got knocked out of the League Cup last season, but United, they're always one of those teams that start the season really slowly and they start picking up towards like November, December time. We saw it last season as well when they had a slow start and they started picking it up then. So maybe we might see a repeat of that this in the next couple of months, I think.
Yeah, I mean, we may, and look, I want to see it. Like the thing about it is, the one thing again I can't agree with when it comes to a lot of other people is like it's the word I'm looking for here. I don't want Ollie to lose. I want us to win. I don't buy into the notion. Oh, if I want us to lose, we definitely get another manager. That kind of makes me feel a bit icky when I say that out loud. But look, it'll be really intriguing to see kind of how that pans out, how it works, and everything else. In terms of the question thing we just had there from Michael Ramsey, do you feel like Liverpool are only doing well against the lesser teams, or do you think that's a little bit disrespectful?
I mean, you can only beat what's in front of you. The Porto team we played yesterday, they're still a really good team. I remember last season they beat Chelsea in the second leg, even though they got knocked out on aggregate scoreline. I believe they knocked out Juventus last season as well, and they caused a couple of other upsets last season. So I don't think the quality we were playing against a bad team, we were playing against a good team. I just think the way Liverpool play against a team like Porto, it just suits them so much that Liverpool can just pounce upon the opportunity, as you saw yesterday and the other time we played Porto in the past.
Yeah. Mate, listen, I think people have been a bit disrespectful towards Liverpool, if I'm being fair. Mohammed, great call, mate. Thanks for coming on again and all your support. Really appreciate it, bro. Thank you. Top man. Next on the show, we are going to go to Leaf, but I did take a quick look at the stats here of Donny van der Beek versus McTominay this season. They're very disingenuous. All of McTominay's games have been in the English Premier League. The others are 9 minutes in the Premier League, and then 46 minutes in the against Young Boys, and then the Carabao Cup against West Ham. And they're kind of marginally similar, really. But the one big one that stands out is losses of possession. Only 4.5 times per game for Scott McTominay. Donny, maybe this is a strength thing against a second-rate West Ham team and Young Boys, nearly 9 times on average in the games. That's the issue. Progressive the ball better, but we'll lose the ball more. Depends what you want. I still see the end result being the same. Not good enough. And that's what we should really focus on. Leaf is here with us now. What are you saying, Leaf?
Yeah, hi. I want to speak about Arsenal and a little bit about Solskjaer. But Arsenal, like, they look really good. Like, seriously. I think they could push for, like, top 4. I think 5th or 6th. I think they'll reach it easily. Leicester have fallen off. Defensively, they have a big problem, and Evans and Fofana are injured. I think Spurs are like I told you, we're not gonna finish. We'll be lucky to finish top 8. You know.
So you kind of agree with the likes of Igal and Curran and people in recent days that Arsenal are looking good, playing well, and could really have a good season.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they have a title-winning defense, and I don't think they are. That back 4 is a title-winning defense. It might become one, but that is so rare in football to have 4 players stay at the club for 5 years, and each and every one of them improves massively to win a title. That is so rare. But Jess is absolutely correct. The end of last season, they were a really good team, and I think that if they don't have a lot of injuries this season, they can push for top 4. because United look atrocious, and Arsenal, they could finish above United.
United in the top
You're
4
gonna
over.
get kicked out of here so quick for
Hang
saying.
on,
True,
hang on.
true.
I don't operate in that way on the terrace. This
You
is
kick
a
me out whenever
no.
I say something.
Yeah, but you're part of the crew, innit? You're part of the crew. I don't do that to my. I don't do that. Listen, I love my crew. I love my hosts and my panelists, but my viewers are the most important part of the football terrace. If I got told today you got to get rid of all your guests and panelists and hosts to keep all your viewers, I wouldn't even say goodbye. Just delete the group chat and move on. Like they wouldn't even get a buy. Leaf is more important than KJ. More important than Adam.
I agree with that.
There we go. That's what I'm saying. Leaf, listen,
One
top man.
thing
Go on, mate. Go on.
Solskjaer, I don't think he will get sacked simply because your owners are only there financially. Man United financially are doing, like they're winning titles in terms of finance. There's the shirt sales, the stadium, everything, the Champions League money, it is huge. The only way that they'll sack him is if those numbers diminish. If he goes into Europa League, but I think that even if he goes into Europa League, he won't get sacked.
And do you know about? Did you see the thing that came out in the Athletic today? It was speaking about how Adidas have been moaning at Man United because shirt sales were down, and now we've broken shirt sale records. And not only broken shirt sale records after the signing of Cristiano Ronaldo, but Cristiano Ronaldo was a Nike athlete. So Adidas are even happier because not only have we broken records for shirt sales, we've got the biggest Nike athlete in the world, fact, in terms of followers and social media clout, now wearing Adidas. So, and again, man, people ignore that element. It's like, oh, I just love him being back. It's good for the Glazers. Like, yeah, but the Glazers are all right today. Like, no one really cares about their owners. I've said it before, I'll say it again. 90% of people that went to the protest that we all care about, they were there for the gram. They were there for social media clout. We've just been through a lockdown for like what felt like 20 years. They were there for a day out. It was like, oh, get a night out. You get arrested at protests? No, I'm going, mate. Like, I think some people just looked at it as, where can I go out of my house where I won't be arrested for standing next to another human? Protests? Great. Get me. What are we protesting? I almost feel like I reckon that's what we're protesting. The Cronkies. Why? What they done? Like, I just think some people that was in their heads because it never lasted. But listen, Leaf, top man, thanks very much for coming on and having your say. Really appreciate it, bro. Thank you. Super chat here that says it's fair. What does this say? I want to make sure I read this right. My brain ain't working. Honestly, legit, my brain ain't working right now. Where we at? So it says it's fair to judge Donny. Is it fair to judge Donny when he hasn't had a run of games? The team combinations can affect him. Comparing him to McFred might not be fair. I hear you. The one thing I'd say about Ollie that I don't believe in this notion of favourites. I think he picks based on how he sees people performing in training. I don't think he sits and goes, oh, I'd love to pick Donny, but I don't want to upset my Fred. I don't think he thinks like that. I think that's a weird fan theory type thing. Do you know what I mean?
It's simply team function and reliability. He can rely upon them and they do the job that he needs his midfield to do. It's just that simple.
Jadon Sancho has to go back to Dortmund. My Dortmund, bro, he's scoring. He's going to score or get an assist tonight. Jadon arrives. Jadon arrives, and then once he starts, there can be no stopping the greatest young creative player in the history of European football.
Please don't ruin him. You guys cannot ruin Jadon.
I'm going to be really disrespectful here. I am not taking advice from anything related to Arsenal about ruining players. Like, it just cannot happen. Terry, I know you'll give Ollie credit when it's due. Also, Man United look atrocious. What about Spurs? Less players want to stay at our club, Mr. Kane.
The United don't look atrocious. It was bound to come. Like the moment that you guys had a couple of bad results because of the Ronaldo and all that, people are going to go big on it. It's not atrocious. It just doesn't look great, and Spurs, yeah, you're in for the Alexis Sanchez treatment. Once a player doesn't want to go, and in particular, they want to go to City, it's over.
It's and in the modern day game, they've got it right. Do you know what? It worked out for Tottenham. They kind of did this before with Toby Alderweireld and Danny Rose. And I was working in a very different job back when that was going on and had a little bit of insight into it. They stuck them in the stand. They barely played them. Poch had all this power. He had complete anonymity. the players were all happy because the club was going in the right direction. You can be a little more ruthless when things are going well. You see this in life, because I'm telling you this now, and I'm sorry if it upsets people. If R. Kelly was still making #1 hit records, he wouldn't have been found guilty.
Stop.
As soon as he stopped making people money, it's called literally. I mean it. Like, if he was still an asset to the money, the billionaires in the world, they'd have found a way. Do you know what I mean? It's just, or it'd have been Epstein or something. I don't know. Like, something would have happened. Like, do you know what I mean? That guy got away with it for a long time. Why? Because he was Bill Clinton's friend. Do you know what I mean? It's one of them ones there. And Prince Andrews. I'm not throwing your lot under the bus. My lot are just as bad. I tell you that. And that's what we've been talking about that for.
I don't know.
But there's a reason. There was a reason. Oh yeah, about like when things are going well, you can berate players, stick them in the stands, do whatever you want. As soon as the situation isn't rosy anymore, as soon as it's like there's regression or there's problems or you're not as important, that type of behavior, it rattles people. It just rattles people. It simply does. You know, the way Pep and Klopp behave sometimes when they lose a match, they don't really get the same treatment as a struggling manager gets if he has a hissy fit. Because you can't say like, oh, is Pep cracking up? Nah, he just won 2 Premier League titles on the bounce. He's not cracking up, is he? If you're a manager who's 8 and you do the same thing, it's like, oh, look, the pressure's getting to him. It's just the nature of the beast. We're going to do some more calls now. We're going to get Harry on the show. Gunnar Sol's coming soon. Football Fan Zone as Harry's not been on. Harry has basically been cheating on the football terrace for a long time now. I'm not happy with this man, but he's still got a nice beard. Let's do it. Yes, Harry, how you doing, mate?
Yeah, I was good until you started talking about R. Kelly, but otherwise, yeah, all good.
No, mate, I stand by the analogy. Like, in the entertainment world, I think things like that happen. Like, you can get away with a lot when you're doing well.
Yeah, maybe so. But anyway.
Anyway.
What are we talking about?
Yeah, what are you here to say, bro?
Oh, sorry. Well, I mean, I suppose to kind of provide a little bit of more perspective of where we're at as a football club, and a general thought on the whole Arsenal situation is that when we are going through a dark time, it feels like a lot of fans want us to almost subscribe to their negativity. And any context is just thrown out. Any reason as to why we struggled against Brentford or Chelsea, Man City is kind of just pushed to the side. And it's all about everyone knowing how bad we are. But then when we do well, it's like we can't enjoy it a little bit. Or it's like people are going to say, yeah, you did well, but it's only Burnley, it's only Norwich, or this is the worst Spurs team we've played in a long time. So I think any Arsenal fan who is slightly positive over the past few results has every right to be. I mean, I've been Arteta in for pretty much all of it. I've said prior to the first game of the season, I think we can push top 4. When United signed Ronaldo, I changed that a little bit, but I did think we could challenge for top 4. I think Arteta, if backed, will go on to be one of our most successful managers. So I think if you are on that side of the fence and you have been, then if we beat Spurs comfortably, then you should be able to enjoy this defeat and there shouldn't be any guilt about it. And you also shouldn't be told, oh, well, calm down. It's like, no, don't calm down. We've just beaten Spurs. We're on a good run. Some of our new signings are looking good. So let's be confident. It's a good time for all fans to get together, create that atmosphere in the Emirates Stadium, make it a fortress, make it a place that opposition teams are scared of coming to. And I think if we continue with that positivity, we can achieve good things. Not good things, great things. Not great things, wonderful. Not wonderful things, amazing things.
So let me just say, so you think Arteta has the makings to be one of your club's greatest ever managers?
I think if he's backed, he has the potential to be one of our most successful managers. Yeah, behind Arsene Wenger, I do. Yeah, I think he's got all the right ingredients to be a top manager. I've always thought that, and a few dodgy results against Brentford and Chelsea aren't going to change that. Of course, he's making mistakes, and we can quote the Europa League semi-final as a game that he totally screwed up, and he'll go through those challenges along the way, as Pep did last year for Man City, as Wenger did throughout the Champions League journey with Arsenal. But I think we're looking at a really special, unique manager. I think we're lucky to have him in many respects. Of course, we've got to ride with him, but I think he's going to be a top manager. I mean, I don't understand why you're smiling. I think he's going to be a good manager.
I just feel like it's really weird how people have completely like said, okay, well, because basically, like the faces that Terry's making is, how dare you think Arteta could be great?
No,
I mean, we
no,
know Ole
lies.
is not great
Hang on a
because
minute,
he
hang
already.
on a minute, Jess. You sat on here 2 weeks ago saying he's finished. He ain't good enough. He's got to be sacked. So you can't agree with Harry.
No, but I also said that he could
No.
potentially be a great manager in the future.
Oh,
Which is exactly
no,
what
I'm
Harry's
sorry.
saying.
Is your backside hurting with all them splinters? You can't sit on the fence. You cannot sit on here and say he is not good enough. He has got to
He
go.
is not.
And then agree with Harry and say he could be one of the greatest ever managers in the history of Arsenal.
I said he could be a
What?
great manager.
I think
What are
she's
you
agreeing with my
saying?
thought process, right? She's agreeing with my thought process rather than the actual thought. That's what I feel like.
Oh God, spare me.
No, because
He's
the
either
way
good
you
enough-
got, the
he's
way
either
some
good enough.
people
No, he's either
act,
good enough or he's not. He's either good enough or he's not. What is it?
but you're not hearing the point.
What's the point? I want to know what you think. Is he
These
good
are
enough or not?
completely two separate points. Is should he be Arsenal's manager right now is a completely different point than can he be a great manager.
Yeah, but
Those are two separate things.
No. Okay, I'll turn it round then because I'm triggered now. If you think he can become a great manager, and he's going to become a great manager, why would you get rid of him? Because you get rid of him now, and he goes on to be great for another club and wins them all these trophies. You're missing out on a great manager. Like, how far away is he away from being great? If it's a year or two, then you'd never want to sack him for any reason because you know he's going to be great. I don't understand the logic.
We don't know. We don't know how long it's going to take.
Sometimes results dictate circumstances as well, because it's all good saying this manager can be great, but of course, if we go on a really bumpy run, then the circumstances change. It doesn't mean that manager, if he gets sacked to Arsenal, can't ever be a great manager again. If we lost to Norwich, Burnley, right, then he goes into that Spurs game under serious pressure. So sometimes your managerial ability goes out the window. Then it's just about can you win the next game. But he did beat Burnley, he did beat Norwich, he did beat Spurs. So now we can change. Now we can change our mind a little bit, or some other fans can change their mind a little bit. I'm not saying he is the greatest Arsenal manager. I'm not saying he's going to be. I'm saying if he's backed, he can go on to be one of our greatest ever managers. I'm not saying he's a great manager now.
If you say that potentially, like, because that's what this has all been, right? Potentially, we have a back four that could be title winning back four. That is future casting.
Yes.
And there's no way that anybody on the other end that doesn't think that that's happening can justify the reason why they feel that way either, because no group knows. Positive group, negative group, nobody actually knows.
And of course nobody knows, and that's why we do this. We give opinions. I suppose my view would be, what have you seen that makes you think? Great manager. Like, we're not going to get into a debate over what great is. You can win back-to-back titles. You can win Champions Leagues. Like, that's a big statement. And in how many years? Because him being a great manager in 10 years' time, is that right for Arsenal right now? If it isn't right for Arsenal right now, I get you wanting to be disrespected, but it still doesn't change the fact that he can't lead you out. If he isn't going to be great for 10 years or good enough for 10 years, you still need him out now and someone else to get you further up the table.
It's not going to take 10
right?
years. It's not going to take 10 years. Yeah, it won't take 10 years though.
So how long then? Because if it's 1 year, 2 years, there's no need to sack him. I agree with you. If it's 4, 5, 6+ years, he ain't right for you right now. And for you to get out of that rut to get back to winning trophies, big trophies, challenging, you need someone that's right now to get you to that point, do you not? Or is he right to get you to that? Does he then leave and go and become great elsewhere and you bring in a more experience? Like, what would be the process?
It's very similar. He still has to hit his benchmarks 100%. Like, if he doesn't get into Europe, he has to go. But if he's able to get us back into Europe and then he gets another transfer window, I feel like honestly, for me, he's our Ole Gunnar at this moment. Like, I think he's somebody to build the culture, get people back, liking Arsenal at the very least, build a foundation, and we get a better manager when we get there. But I'm not looking at him in terms of like, he's going to be this world-class manager, because it could take 10 years for that. But I do think he's talented, and I don't think it's as binary as he's either atrocious or great. He's somewhere in between there, but he can still be beneficial. But it's still inconclusive whether he's going to get us into Europe. And that's what we need to see.
I accept the points there. We have some super chats. This one says, I've been watching football for 20 years and this fraud is the worst manager in the history of this game. This hype only because of one game. Delusion at its best is what Bashar's got to say. We have a super chat here that says, Arsenal fans, celebrate your wins as much as possible. If any of the top 4 favourites fall out, you won't replace them. This happens every season. We're going to add another caller now. We've got a gal backstage ready to come on. We are going to get Gunnar Solskjaer, but I'm first going to go to the football fan zone. What you saying, bro?
How's it going, Terry? You all right?
Yeah, I'm very well. What do you want to say, buddy?
Well, first, I wanted to talk about Solskjaer quickly because I think you're actually right what you're saying about him. When I look at what Solskjaer's achieved, and you look at what's
right.
happened,
Well, I'm right about everything.
Well,
he's not.
Sometimes. But what I think with the Solskjaer in crew, and the question I would ask them is, at what point do you say, where's the level that you're prepared to drop below? Like how long can you go without a trophy before you say a manager with proven success has to come in? For example, you look at Jose Mourinho's first 100 games and Solskjaer's first 100 games. And Solskjaer's lost, I think it's 121 games he's been there for now. And in the Premier League, he's lost 32 of 121 Premier League games. He's losing basically 1 in 4 Premier League games over the course of nearly 3 years.
Yeah.
Jose Mourinho was nowhere near that. Absolutely nowhere near that. Yet when Jose Mourinho went, no one cried when Mourinho left.
Yeah. I had this conversation. We're doing a Mo Salah debate. You're coming Friday, right?
Yeah, I'll be there Friday.
Cool. Yeah. We're doing a debate Friday night about Mo Salah. Where does he sit in terms of greatness in the Premier League for Liverpool? It will never be considered by Scouse Liverpool fans as the greatest because of their emotional connection and love for Gerrard. He could win 3 Champions Leagues, 5 Premier Leagues, break the Premier League goal scoring record, win 10 Ballon d'Ors, and I still think they put Gerrard above him. So based on emotion, Ollie's always going to be more loved and respected than Jose Mourinho, especially by a select group of Man United fans who grew up or already adults watching Ollie score so many important goals for us over a 10-plus year period, the most famous being the most famous Champions League goal in the history of the tournament. That these things resonate with people and they're important. However, you have to look at a situation from the point of Jose's peak was higher than Ollie's peak. But I judge a manager on, generally speaking, how they kind of leave you and what happens towards the end. What Jose did in these last 9 months at the club, between him and our owners and our board, they just destroyed anything that was on the way to being built or being created. And Ollie had to kind of repair all of that. But to your first question around how is enough? Now is enough. He's got this squad to a point where it's working. The personnel's good. There's no real toxicity. There's no player power that was taken over. It's now about winning. We're in that point where there's no more transition. There's no more rebuild. There's no more cultural reboot. That stuff's being done. I know people hate those buzzwords. Everybody hates those buzzwords when it's a manager they don't like or a club they don't support. But those things are always important.
The thing is,
that's been done. He now just needs to win or challenge for major trophies. If he comes up, finishes 1 point off the top of the league this year on 92 points and gets to a Champions League semi, I'd say fair enough, keep him because he's right there on the edge. Maybe if he goes 2 or 3 years at that level and doesn't get over the line, you say, right, we need to go to somebody else that can push that little part over. But right now, with how we play and how he's turned up and delivered in the most important and pivotal games, I just think he's a sandwich short of a picnic in relation to getting us over the line and winning. So enough is enough for me now, Ollie. It's start delivering on a consistent basis or go. There's no more in between for me.
I agree. The problem is with the Ollie out and the Ollie in brigade, I think the Ollie in take it personally. When you've got Man United fans saying, oh, we want Ollie out, there are too many people that are taking it personally, that's personally against Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. And it's not. It's nothing against you. You don't have problems against Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, but what you do have is you want a winning mentality. You want to go on as a Man United fan. You want to go on and achieve the biggest and best things. And whether or not Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, whether that's Solskjaer, whether that's Conte, whether that's Mourinho or whoever, would be under the exact same pressure by the same people. And I think that's important to know as well.
Mate, great point. Speak to you again soon, mate. Thank you for coming on and having your say. Really appreciate it, bro. Thank you.
Cheers, mate. Thanks.
A few more people to add into this now. We had a few people in. Gal's coming on. Gunnar Solskjaer's coming on. Monstar's coming on to have his say as well. We've got some super chats first. Twisted says Arsenal's current squad doesn't warrant a great manager, is what Twisted Bubba's got to say. A Cody, who's celebrating 14 months as a member today, said in a member, we can't put them on the screen, what are they called? Members super chats, says very contradictory, saying that Arteta is your Ollie when you guys sit there and say that Ollie will never be a great manager and is out of his depth. And a super chat here that says, to be fair, if you listen to fans, Arsenal wouldn't have got Ramsdale, Odegaard, or Tomiyasu. Sometimes us fans need to understand we don't have every answer, even if you've supported for many years. And I think that's true to a degree. Of course, we all get things wrong. Yeah, go on.
I just wanted to, so the past one that you just said, that it's contradictory about Arteta potentially being.
I didn't say that. I read a comment out.
I know.
I want to specify.
I know. I know it wasn't you. Okay, I would address you like right to you. Yeah. So I think the thing about it is, like, I'm saying Ole Gunnar's not good enough to take Manchester United to that next level. They definitely needed a culture shift and somebody to get them a foundation and all that kind of stuff. So when I say Arteta could potentially be our Ole, he could potentially be that guy that could build the foundation, get the culture right, and then get it to a point where the next manager needs to come in. So the whole thing about Ole Gunnar not being a great manager, I never really said that. I said that he doesn't match the current squad and the ambitions that this team needs to have now. So again, sometimes it's like, I feel like people are just picking certain points and then putting it together and making something. I never said Ole, like, or Arteta. I feel like you just got it like a little bit confused there. That's all.
Fair enough. I'm going to bring the others on for the final part of the show now. Make sure that like button has been smashed, people. Let's do it. There we go. How are we all doing? We all good?
Yeah. All good.
Yeah, I mean, I want to go to Monster first because obviously we're surrounded. I got told off the other day, I never have enough Gooners on the show. We're now surrounded by them. But yeah, Monster, what's your take on Arteta being potentially great manager?
I thought that was the wildest, like, craziest statement I've ever heard. Like, let's be honest, Arteta he's gonna be a Steve Bruce, Alan Padru, who's the other one? Sam Allardyce type manager. That's what he's gonna be. He's not that good of a manager. Like, let's be serious here. Like, is he?
How do you know that though? How do you know that?
Because we've seen
based on 2 years of him managing.
Yes, we've seen 2 seasons
in which he won an FA Cup.
We've seen 2 seasons of this bum in management. Do you know what I mean? Do you know what a great manager is? Like, a great manager. Do you know what that is? Do you know what you're saying? There's only a few great managers out there, and you're trying to include this guy in that upper echelon of managers. Like, we're talking about Mourinho, Fergie, Pep. Who else can we say is a great manager? Zidane.
But he didn't say that. He said Arsenal manager.
Yeah,
he said
I said a great Arsenal
so
manager.
Fair enough. Because to be honest,
so there you go. There you go.
Fair enough. I mean,
there you go.
Your greatest manager only won 3 Premier Leagues and a couple FA Cups. Fair enough. He's not even a great manager in a sense because he never even won a European trophy. So I hear that.
I mean, you kind of came on with some smoke that didn't really make sense because you didn't listen to the question or the actual comment. But again, when you go back into a lot of these good managers, great managers, like CVs, they weren't all wonderful or perfect right off the bat. And a lot of them didn't start off at Arsenal Football Club. So again, these things are inconclusive. Nobody's right. We could be right. You could be right. Nobody knows, but you're making a definitive statement based on the fact that you don't think anything that Arsenal is doing at the moment is good. And so it's tainting everything that you guys say about what we're doing.
No,
it's frustrating. Bum. It's frustrating. He's not a bum.
Hold on.
You know who was a bum? Lampard. He was a bum.
Hold on.
Yeah.
He finished 8th and 8th. Like, do you know how mad that is? That this bum finished 8th.
All right, let's take it back, right? So when we look, no,
Zero
look at it from Wenger's down.
No, there's no context needed. Wait. Souls, hold on. Your Arsenal Football Club. That is the context you need. You are Arsenal Football Club. The man finished 8th and 8th.
Yeah, but you finished 11th.
Let him finish.
No, we didn't finish.
Wasn't it like 10th or something like that?
Yeah, but what happened the next season?
You know what this is?
What happened? No. Listen to what I said.
I know you won the league. I get you won the league. But
hold on.
Well, you did as well.
Wait. Listen to what I said. You said we finished 11th, right?
Or something like that, yeah.
Wait. Where did we finish the season before? We won the league. Where did the season after that? Where did we finish? We won the league. Where has this bum finished 2 seasons in a row?
Okay.
Again, no context
Are you done?
whatsoever.
Yeah, no con- yeah,
which is
no
fine,
context,
which
yeah.
is fine, which is fine,
He's a
because that's the
bum.
world that you live in. I like context because that's how you actually make an argument. You have to have logic and facts. You can't just be
Okay,
you're
okay.
eighth, you're eighth. So that's fine. We're not
Okay,
actually arguing on the same plane right here. We're
what's the
actually not talking
context?
about the same things.
What's the context?
But Monster, do you think Man United are the second best team in the country?
What overall, like in terms of
Do
history
you
and
think, do
everything?
you think they're now, currently, do you
last
think they're
year.
the second best team in the
Like
country?
right now, yeah, right now.
What are you talking about? You're just talking about this current team.
Yeah,
like,
this
it's a-
current team.
Man United right
No,
now. are they
I
the
think
second
so-
best
I
team?
think
No
so.
context,
I
no
think so.
context.
Liverpool-
But they,
Monster, no
but they finished
context.
second last year. They finished second last year. They finished second last year. So I get it. I get what you're saying. We did finish eighth. There's circumstances. There's context, and that's what that's why we maybe feel more
No, but that
positive than
mentality makes no
other
sense.
teams. But
What
just to say
mentality?
we're eighth,
No,
we're
no.
eighth. He's a bum. Doesn't make any
Let him
sense.
finish. Let him finish. That mentality doesn't make sense because West Ham literally the year before were fighting relegation. The next year, somehow everyone's saying they're better than everybody else because they finish higher up the table. Your position in the league table once the season's over is done. You don't. We keep going back to the eighth. We finished eighth. We finished eighth. That's over with. You don't
No,
have that.
that's sorry. That's not
But
true.
not
That's
him,
not
not
true.
him
That's
alone.
not true.
No,
That's not true. That's not
it
true.
is
That is
true.
not.
You wanna know why?
No, hang on a minute. It isn't true.
Wait.
It
Everybody
isn't
else got
true.
to speak. Harry,
No,
I said
go on.
one word. You cut
Go
me
on.
off.
Go on. Why is it true,
Okay.
Agal?
This is why, because the league position where you finish does not dictate how you're going to do the next season.
Yes.
You can have a completely different team.
Yes.
You can have a completely different squad, and you can have a completely different trajectory.
Yes.
Especially since we don't have Europe this season.
Yes.
West Ham have Europe. Leicester have Europe. You're going to see them drop off. I'm not saying we're going to finish top 4 or anything like that, but you're going to see other people drop off. It's not going to be consistently the same thing every single year. Basically saying because we finished 8th 2 seasons in a row, that's where we're going to finish this season is illogical. You're completely not looking at any of the
okay.
facts.
So let me just say quick. Let me just say very quickly. I'm very sorry. Last season's position does dictate where you're ranked in terms of first to last. It's then where you finish the next season that changes it. So your point was West Ham are relegation, then they nearly got in the Champions League, right? That's at the end of the season, they were nearly in the Champions League. Based on the first 5, 10, 15 games of the following season, unless you're riding high at the top of the league and battering people, it's hard to judge whether there's been a change or not, right? There's still a little, okay, well, Man United have got a little bit better. We've improved slightly, but you have to wait till the end of the season. It's like you're saying right now, after 6 games, Arsenal have definitely improved. You then
it's like you're saying.
You did just say that. You just literally said you don't take last season into account. It's what you're doing right now. Well, right now you're lower than that. You're actually 10th. So actually, if you're going to go on what you've done this season, you're worse than last year, league position wise, which is a nonsense.
But what are we actually talking about?
Let me get back to the point. Let me get back to my point. At the same time, what I keep hearing is, this team will drop off, and this team might do this, and this team. Your progression is always based on
drop off.
Yes, at the start of the season, right? But you're worse off league-wise right now than you were at the end of last season as well, right? You're 2 place worse off. What I'm trying to say to you is that everything about Arsenal's progression is Leicester and West Ham and Everton and Man United. Everybody else is dropping off, and then maybe you'll go in. Everything about your improvement is based on everybody else's downfall. As opposed to we are just going to be better than what Man United are to get in front of you. Better than Leicester, better than this.
Specific people.
So my point is, I'm challenging people's specific opinions. My point is this: I would say there's nothing illogical about what you've said, but don't get defensive when people say I don't see it happening because their logic's exactly the same as yours in reverse. That's where my frustration comes in when people say I don't see Arsenal leapfrogging 4, 5, 6 teams.
But not.
You're forgetting.
It was Man United's.
Can I say
we're
something?
not talking about Man United. Why are you getting mad? Why are you getting mad? We're not talking about United.
None of their squads are the same. None of their squads are the same. They've all
No,
players.
but everyone talks about.
My point is acting like the only team to buy people.
No.
Arsenal.
That's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is everybody's talking about this team like it's the same team from the year before. That's my point. You're not, nobody's contemplating that we could have improved. Their transfer window, all 6 signings, everyone was saying we're garbage, we didn't improve. We spent 150 million, we didn't improve. That was the agenda. Now that we are starting to see some signs of an improvement, people are pushing back and saying we haven't improved still.
Can I just talk here? I'm not gonna...
Sorry, Monster, one last point. Sorry, mate. At the same time, I get that. And I was complimentary about what you guys are doing. But what you're saying about every other club is you're all going to go backwards.
I didn't say that.
You literally
I mentioned
said
two
it.
clubs.
You
I
literally
mentioned two clubs
said the clubs
as an
you've got to
example.
jump. The clubs you've got to jump in front of are all going to go backwards, and we're definitely moving forward. That's a madness to me. It's a madness to me.
Say that.
I don't
Did
think
I
it's
say
mad.
that?
I don't think it's mad. I
the
think
disagreement.
Can I say one thing?
No, hold on. So just really quick. It's not so much that we care that you disagree with us. It's the magnitude in which you do, to the point where it's just, he's a bum. That is just so far off. No, he's not.
Why
because,
is he not?
Hold on. In his first job ever, he comes in 8th twice with the worst Arsenal team that's ever stepped foot in the Premier League. So that makes you a bum.
I don't believe so.
That's what you just said. You said that makes him a bum. That's
I
literally what
said
you said.
No. You added the part of you said the worst Arsenal team, blah, blah, blah. No. But before he came in, because that season, every Arsenal fan was saying, I think that was Frank Lampard's season. They're going to leapfrog Chelsea and blah, 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 and blah, blah, because we lost Hazard, we had a transfer ban, and blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah.
So
all of a sudden,
wait.
All of a sudden,
so it's coming from a couple of Arsenal fans said something that you don't agree with. That's
no,
but
that was the general consensus. Everyone thought Chelsea were going to be so horribly bad because we lost Hazard and blah blah, and yet we finished 4 places above you. 4 places.
So that's where this is coming from. So now we got to the root of the problem. Some Arsenal fans said something that you didn't agree with. So now you're going to go way onto the other spectrum and say Arteta's a bum because he finished. Those are two separate things. Stop listening to a couple of Arsenal fans.
Until he proves me otherwise and finishes higher in a better position.
He doesn't need to prove anything to you. He's not a bum.
He's
not.
He is a bum.
He's not.
Well, he beat that same Lampard to a trophy. Bum right now.
Wait. But we want
and Man City.
Until let
me
say this.
Issue is that
Liverpool to a community
wait. Hold on. Until he will prove me otherwise when he finishes. This is Arsenal we're talking about here.
So Ancelotti's a bum. So everyone who finishes 8th is a bum.
Well, Ancelotti's won many Champions Leagues. I mean, you can't.
Hold on. Sorry, Terry. Let me just quickly say it's different teams. He was coaching Everton. Learn the difference. It's Everton and Arsenal. There's a massive.
Yeah, but the team isn't Arsenal.
But guys, the reason I'm probably confused and my head's triggered is I've literally had three of the 4 of you been on here telling me gotta go, falling up. Like I don't understand.
I'm not talking about Arteta here. I'm talking about the squad.
But we were talking about Arteta.
I get that. But when people talk about the team,
and your team has improved. I said that. I never said you had an atrocious window. I still think you needed a marquee player. I just think it's disrespectful to look at your first 6 games and go, wow, we're going to be fine based on these things. But just to disregard everybody else. Like West Ham will go back. Leicester will go back. You're not going to go back.
No. Can I add to this?
It's a madness.
I want to bring something out. I want to bring a different into this, right? Because the difference is, right, there's a big structure change at the club. Whether we agree with the change is a different story. Now, we had Raul, we had Gazidis who were doing dodgy dealings. Raul came in and empirically had a thing against him where they'd done an investigation and found out that he was actually doing backdoor deals with agents and stuff like that. This season, the reason why I'm getting excited anyway is because Arteta went to Edu and goes, I don't want Neto. I want Ramsdale. Give me Ramsdale because he doesn't want a Kai signing. No, you can laugh all you want, but that's the reality of the situation. He wanted Tomiyasu, and the difference. In the scouting system, we did make 51 odd staff redundant, which a lot of them were scouts as well. What we've now done is we've changed the structure. We're following in the steps of big European clubs in terms of bringing data into it, bringing video analytics into it. We're now scouting differently. Arteta has set a criteria to Edu, to Vinay, saying, this is my criteria. If they don't fit this meta, they're not coming in.
Gunnar, my bro, and again, love having you on the channel. Then when you lose a few more games, I want to see this positivity. My frustration is none of you did. You all sat on here a few weeks ago. Arteta out is falling apart. The club's being run atrociously. Kroenke out.
Now it's okay. But I've explained so many different times.
Now it's gone the other way. Where it's
no.
What I said.
Because I don't think Arteta is a bum. Because he's saying Arteta is a bum.
That's a different point. That's a different point.
No, Terry, I'll say what I've actually said. What I've said is the way that the Project Youth isn't in my image. That's what I've said, because they could have done it in a different way. They didn't need to get a Tommy Asu, didn't they? They could have got a Basuma, which fits that profile. They could have got a War that fits that profile. That's all we've said. We're not saying what they've done is wrong. It's just we wanted more established players to come in.
My question is then, why not the positivity even after those? The only one of you that at any point, and I can only speak about you guys that were on here, that like was kind of played down the start of the season was Jess, where she said, actually, you've got to take the COVID situation into consideration. Harry went on the terrace saying it. I'm saying on the terrace. Like, apologies. It's like, I just want to see the consistency. I just want to see the consistency of this positivity. If you get beat by Brighton this week, if you lose 2 or 3 games on the bounce, actually, the manager's got potential to be great. We've got a really good system. We've got a title-winning defense that we're building. I still think teams above us are all going to fall apart and fall away, so we're going to leapfrog in front of them. I just want to see a bit more consistency in that approach.
We can only
bring us back on when that happens. When it happens, bring us back on. Remember this, clip this, and
that's the thing.
If and when that happens, bring us back on.
The thing is, we will lose a game. We will lose a game.
Because I know that this will start. Exactly. So the moment we lose a game.
Harry, if Arteta loses against Brighton, who you got after Brighton? Can I just ask?
Palace.
Well,
we got
if he loses, if he loses against Brighton and Palace, are you still going to say he's going to be a great manager? Are you lot still wait? No, I don't want to hear it. Are you lot still going to be Arteta in?
Listen, I'm still Arteta out right now because I don't think. Let me explain. Let me explain. This is not. It's not about Arteta for me. For me, it's about the sample size that we've seen from the players that we just bought and the team that we now have built. We haven't seen a large sample size of that team. We've seen 3 games of them, and they've played well. That can give me promising signs. And at the same time, I can still say we still can have questions about Arteta. That's my stance currently. I think the team has improved to a level where he can perform, and these players can perform to a higher standard than before. And that's where I'm saying.
I think that's fair, because I do think, again, I didn't say you didn't improve your squad this summer as a standpoint from me. But if your manager is nowhere near good enough, maybe you're right about that. I still don't see how you get that squad without the star quality. You can think Ollie's a bum, but there's enough star quality in that team to make it into the Champions League.
But that's where we're moving to. Did
anybody here say Champions League? Harry, Souls? None of us have said Champions League. That was one person that said Champions League.
No.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
what's your realistic
top 6 minimum?
European competition
minimum.
5th, 6th,
so
something around there.
It's conference.
Sorry, guys. Sorry, guys. Look, I understand the points that you're all making, and I do. I just think, like I've said all along, I just think people are getting very, very excited after a very good win in a North London derby. Harry, on the other hand, no, I know you've been saying it all along, like at other shows, but go on, mate, go on.
What I'm saying is, we're getting excited as positive results just as much as people are getting wholeheartedly negative and having a breakdown after poor results. It works both ways. After those 3 games, there was no context about anything. If I said, but what about COVID? What about us missing half our team? All I hear is, I've been trusting the process for 18 years. Arteta's had enough time, blah, 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 blah. And if I come with some balance or opinions, it's like, no, we don't care about that. Now, when we're winning games, it's like we have to continue being negative, or we can't be positive. There's nothing wrong with changing your mind on a manager. There's nothing wrong with thinking he's good, then the next week thinking he's not great, and vice versa. But in the same respect, I think the problem is that some people have this opinion or an agenda, and they convince themselves that's their only way of thinking. And even in times of positivity, they still want to push that agenda. There's been Arsenal fans on here still saying, we're shit. We're not good enough. I think Ben White's this. I think Erdegaard's this. When we've just won 3 games, it doesn't make any sense. You should be able to enjoy the win. Do you not think the reason why there's... I'm not saying... Listen, I think Ben White's rubbish. I've always rated Odegaard right from when he joined Real Madrid at, 16 years old?
Yeah, 16.
So I've always rated him. But do you not think maybe the reason why they're still insisting this is because the sample size, as Igal said, of the 3 wins is not necessarily good enough?
Because it's from December. Again, you guys, you keep saying it's 1 game. It's not 1 game. We have been consistent since last December. And the only time we fell off of that, we were. I really want you to go back and look at it.
Because the only time the consistency is about what you do from the start of the season. When you're already out of it, the race for everything, it's easier to have good form. That's why for 10 years under Wenger, you crumble February to March, the most critical time of the season to get through to the latter stage of tournaments. You fell apart. The back end of every season, Arsenal were amazing. And by the end of it, I used to live with two Gunners. It was, do you know what? I think next year we could do this, we could do that. Great summer. And it was rinse, repeat. All that's happened in the last couple of years is your really bad couple of months have come a couple of months earlier. And then you have a back good end to the season. I think it's ridiculous to suggest.
But that's what we're getting rid of.
And well, you say that, but you've won 3, lost 3 so far this season.
Yeah, but that's context. We played the first 3. There's context.
There's context. There's context.
I don't even think there's any point in even debating this.
There's context to everybody's defeats and wins. Everybody's defeats and wins.
When have you missed Bruno? When have you missed like Varane and Maguire and then De Gea? Like, well, not De Gea, but then and your striker. Both your strikers dropping out.
When have you missed your entire spine, the entire thing, and your starting striker?
Oh, sorry, I forgot. Man United never have a reason for losing. It's terrible.
No.
Terrible. Sorry about that. No injuries.
The funny thing about it
is, my point is, we played the champions of Europe. We played the champions of England without our spine.
Hang on, but you say just wait. You're the ones making all the claims.
No, I'm saying for you guys, because the funny thing about it, you guys
are gonna. I've never turned around and said you're crumbling, you're falling apart, you're never gonna get back to the top. It's Arsenal fans that have said in the last few days, top 4, we're back, making it into Europe, could overtake United.
But no one said top 4. Even yesterday, he didn't say top 4. He said there's a possibility of a top 4. It's not deluded to say it.
Okay,
nobody up here said top 4.
No matter what we're getting.
Arsenal fans that I've come across, all these things are being said. People challenge them and like, well, wait and see. Why don't you guys wait and see?
Never would
because we are. Because we are. The thing is you guys are more concerned. Let me finish. You guys are more concerned about us being excited and what we're doing than we are. Let us live, and we'll come back after we lose these 3 games on the bounce, and then you guys challenge us again. You guys are more concerned about this than we are. Rival fans are more concerned about getting us to calm down than we are. Just let us crumble then. Just let us freaking crumble.
I don't need you lot to calm down. I need you lot to continue to
I really think you guys are forgetting. A bunch of your teams are going midweek playing Europe. Arsenal are training, getting ready for every Premier League game. That's gonna have an advantage. That's gonna be an advantage come the back end of the season.
I'm not Chelsea, bro.
No. Right. That doesn't matter. As much as you guys like to compare us to Villa and Brighton and everybody else, when you really look at the 2 squads, man for man, you cannot tell me that these teams are better than Arsenal. You've been all summer. You've been all summer saying Villa's better than us. Brighton's better than us. West Ham's better than us. All these teams are better than us. In my opinion, personally, our squads are superior to them, and we can show it if we stay fit. At least 9 of our players stay fit for at least 30 games this season. We will have a much better season.
If you truly felt that your squad was superior, you wouldn't be relying on having to play once a week. You'd be able to do it playing twice a week as well. But I hear your point. We have a super chat here that says Monster thinks Roberto Di Matteo is a great manager, not Wenger. I don't know if Monster's ever said that.
Hold on. First
That's because he said that Wenger didn't have a Champions League.
Hold on, wait. Can I just say, number one, I would say it. I've said it a million times, and I'll say it again. The gold trophy was a gold-plated trophy painted by Arsenal. The Premier League did not give you a gold trophy. They gave you the normal trophy that they give everyone else. So get over that. Number 2, did you hear me saying Di Matteo was a great manager?
No, but you said that without a European trophy, you can't. That's the connotation.
Yeah. But did you hear the people I named? I named coaches that have multiple league trophies.
But you said you can't be unless you win a Champions League.
Yes,
but
because you got because you got to be a great manager, you got to win multiple league titles and Champions Leagues.
And guess what? To be an elite club, one second, Monster, listen to this. To be an elite club in the world, in your league, in your domestic league, you have to have more than 10 league titles. You don't have that either. So
you're an elite club in England. You're not an elite club in Europe.
But you're not an elite club in England when you think about it.
Yes, we are. We are up there with the greatest.
There's only 3.
We're up there with the greatest.
Who set that criteria?
Who set that criteria?
I'm setting that criteria because everyone's setting their own criteria.
Hang on a minute. No. Hang on a minute. Winning the Champions League. Hang on a second. one at a time. One at a time. I get where you're coming from, Miguel. But
man.
winning a Champions League is a legitimate achievement, right?
Yes.
It is. Winning one is something that without it, you're not as great. Like a club that hasn't won one and whatnot. Like you're setting like a barrier now to how many league titles you've got to win.
Yes.
Why though?
Let me explain. They're setting a barrier for elite status. You have to win a Champions League in Europe. Guess what? To be elite domestically, you have to have at least 10 league titles. Every team in the world that is elite domestically has 10 league titles. Chelsea Football Club don't even have that. So combine Chelsea Football Club domestic trophies when it comes to league titles and Tottenham's, put them together, it's still not as much as Arsenal. So let's not talk. Domestically, you can't talk to us. Period.
Fair enough. Listen,
you can't tackle us in Europe.
I'll take that.
We won't.
You don't want to
hear in Europe, you're an like you are anonymous.
Yes.
Nobody knows you.
Facts.
Like in Europe, you are not part of.
We're still one of the biggest global clubs. We're still one of the biggest global clubs.
We are dead in Europe. We're not even in Europe. But UEFA just did a ranking, and we're 12th.
Well, that UEFA ranking is bogus, bro. That UEFA
makes sense of that. We've been out of Champions League for 5 years.
It's
and
bogus.
We're still 12th on the UEFA rankings. Makes sense of that.
It's that. So who cares about ranking? We don't care about ranking.
No, you're rattled, bro, because you know the truth. Chelsea are not domestically nowhere near Arsenal.
I'm loving this. I'm loving this. We've got 3 Champions League and 20 league titles. So
you can't talk to us. There's 3 clubs in Europe. There's 3 clubs in Europe that are domestically.
I'll accept the gal's logic because it makes Man United even better than Arsenal.
Guys, Terry, just really quick, I just want to agree that we're going to come back here after these 3 losses on a bounce, and you're going to have this exact same panel. And
when we're getting relegated, we're in league, we're in Sunday league,
one at a time, please. What do you mean? What 3 losses? I'm really confused. What 3 losses?
Well, because you guys are saying like.
Don't get too excited. We're going to lose to Brighton.
Don't get too excited. You guys are going to have these.
You just breakdown again. Hang on. When did I say that you were going to lose to Brighton?
No. You specifically.
No, I'm saying because you guys are anticipating
that's what you've done to me on every point I've made. That's what you've done to me on every point I've made today. Is when did I say that? So I'm just trying to.
But you did. You did say that we go through it every single year.
When I say we, I'm talking about you. I'm talking about Arsenal fans.
Do you expect us to fall off over the next 5 games? Because I don't personally.
I mean, that's pretty much what they're saying.
Hang on a sec. What do you mean by fall off?
Do you expect us to maybe get 5 out of our next 15 points, something like that, or what are you projecting?
No, I wouldn't sort of look at it in that kind of way. I don't think you're making it above 6th place in the league this year. If you make it into 5th place, I'd give you a massive gold star and say,
I can't wait for that. I'm holding you to that.
Okay, I'm gonna tell you right now, Terry.
Coming 5th, honestly, I think if you come 5th this season, that's a massive achievement for Arsenal this year. I'm not being rude.
Personally,
that's 1 place away from Champions League. I'm not being horrible. You're trying to make it sound like I'm being a cunt.
I think personally, we have a good run right now. If we can keep it going and get up to 8 wins in a row, we're gonna set ourselves up well.
Yeah,
because we have 5 easy fixtures. At the end of that, no one will be debating if we're going to be finishing.
Don't be unrealistic.
We're going to be solidifying ourselves.
I'd say baby steps. I think
don't be unrealistic.
We can certainly be excited, but then we can also be realistic. The next 5 games, as easy as they are on paper, they're still tough games because it's the Premier League.
I feel like we have been, and then just like a certain couple of Arsenal fans have said things that were a little bit over the top, and we're all getting dragged in it. Nobody said we're winning the league. We're just excited that we beat our rivals. Nothing wrong with that. Let's just close it.
She's right. I mean, listen, in a game like obviously, especially they done okay. They beat who was it? Burnley, and who was the other team you beat?
Norwich.
You beat Norwich. Then obviously for the North London derby, I expected both teams as well to be up for that game. Do you know what I mean? It's a North London derby, and it's similar. And it's similar. Listen, it's City beat us. It was more of a pride thing. But if we meet them on a normal day, we'll smash them. I can't even sit. I'm not even going to sit here and deny that. But it's okay, isn't it? All I'm going to say is if you guys finish 5th, that is a good achievement for Arsenal this season, considering what's going on at your club, innit? But if I'm being honest with you, if you finish 8th again, Arteta has to be sacked, and he is.
Yeah, we've said that.
Yeah, we agree.
Well,
with
he's not a
that.
bum, but we've said he has to be.
No, he's a bum. 3 years in a row, 8th. Oh, he's.
Yeah, but he didn't start that season though.
You said he's a bum already.
He's
I mean,
still
we've
fit,
already
he's
went
still-
through the bum thing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Guys, listen,
We know
everyone-
where that came
Everybody
from.
that has tuned in, I really appreciate it. Final super chat. I don't think I've missed any. If I have, I'm very sorry. Nabil says, by Igal's logic, Ryan Giggs is bigger than Arsenal. That's true. Yes, 13 league titles versus 13. Is it? You got 13, you guys.
Yeah.
13 each. So Ryan
And he's
Giggs is
got-
as
and he's
big
got
as Arsenal Football
2
Club, according
Champions
to that
Leagues.
logic. Again, I'm just reading the comment. That's not me that's saying it before somebody else tries to treat me like I see you next Tuesday. Like everything I read out is my opinion. Everyone who's tuned in, thank you. Really appreciate it. Great debate. I did see the comment section was a madness today. And that's what we love at the Football Territory. It's rivals having debates. If you can't handle the heat in the kitchen, get out. If you don't want to appear in it, because, it's too negative about my club, get out. That ain't what we're about here. It's about having strong opinions and being able to take strong criticism about your football club. And yes, sometimes even I get emotional and will shout. And do you know why? Perfectly natural, normal emotion. And we love it. It's football. Until next time, take care. Goodbye. God bless. Harry, Igal, Souls, Monster, Jess, everyone else who called in today. A massive thank you to all of you. And we'll see you all again.